Hey everyone, happy Easter. Welcome back. Today's video, let's keep working on the 2101XP. I was actually going to fall some trees today, but, well, 60 mile an hour gusts probably not safe for doing any kind of tree work, so let's putter in the saw shop. Let's talk about the machine work I did, and it solved a few problems, but it also created a few. And then let's get working on the piston. See you guys at the bench. Okay guys, here's the 2101. I cut the base of this because we're running a 394 piston versus whatever this is in there. This is a piston that was in there. This is not a 2101 piston. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe aftermarket. It looks very OEM to me, but again, what do I know? Just some feller in my shop. But I got a lot of comments about, well, why not just reach out to Wolf Creek and get a 2101 piston? Well, that wouldn't be any fun. But yeah, if you want to follow along with this build and put a 2101 piston in your saw, that would be a lot easier than what I'm doing. But so, couple things. I had to cut the cylinder base quite a bit. The crown on a 394 piston is a lot shorter than the crown on a 2101 piston or a 2100, 298. Okay, those are all the same saw, little variations. What ended up happening is I noticed once I started bolting it down that my cylinder, if you put your hand on the cylinder, it should not rock, okay? This is rocking slightly in the bore, but it doesn't move. What was happening is I could feel it. It was rocking side to side. And what actually ended up is the base of the cylinder right here was touching down in here, okay? So all I did was I took my micrometer caliper, okay? And I did a little measurement there. And I took my cylinder base, okay? And I measured it, and all I did was I realized that stock, it's real close, so I cut the base of the cylinder down, okay, just a little bit. Now we should be fine. I don't foresee any issues with that, but if you do machine work to one of these, you will have to cut the base. Now, I will not be doing any machine work to the combustion chamber. I like the combustion chamber on these. It's got a really skinny squish band, nicely shaped combustion chamber, good enough for work saw. If you were going to do combustion chamber work, go with a 2101 piston, something more like this. There just isn't enough room. My intake block may slightly hit this already with that little bit of machine work I've done. Okay, I didn't cut a ton off the cylinder base, but I cut, 30, 40 thousandths off of it, and that's about all this particular saw will handle. So, okay, so just letting you guys know the little issues that I've faced so that if you're following along and doing the same build, I realize that most of you out there do not have a lathe. So, I try to keep the lathe as sparingly used as possible on a lot of these builds because I realize you guys can't copy what I'm doing, because I realize a lot of you guys, and I've been getting emails for years, you guys will copy my builds and then you send me videos of your saw running and you say, hey man, it really helped. That's what I like doing here. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I don't do a ton of machine work. I don't feel it's necessary. Again, you guys have seen my work. I've done how many saws now on the channel, and we tend to make huge improvements over stock. We make saws that run good, or we try to. And so it just goes to show you don't have to do machine work. You can. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't always help. Okay, I mentioned in the last video that my squish was a little bit big. And I'm going to... Okay. Oh. Okay, with assembly silicone, we'll be at 25 thou. We're at 23.5 right now. I cut about 7 thousandths off the base this morning. I've been in here for a while. I was painting some parts for another project, and you'll probably see that on the channel, but not quite yet. And so I decided, you know what, while this paint is drying, I'll fire up the old lathe and do some machine work. Okay, so that's what we got there. Now, the piston on this saw, I'm just pushing the wrist pin out. Okay, here's the piston we're going to use. Okay, it's a 394, 395 piston from Wolf Creek Saw Shop, and it is a Meteor brand. Okay, that's what we're going to use for this saw. I don't know where I threw the box. Here's the box. There's a little bit of a mess going on here. I better fix that. Here it is. Here's the part number. Okay. We got this for the 394 build that we just did. Again, if you guys like what you see here, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. I rarely say that, but it does help the channel. And any of these saws that you see me build, if you like the build and you want to follow along, and you've missed a bunch, go into my playlist. I make a playlist on every saw that I build pretty much. So if you're looking for a specific saw, go into my playlist. Maybe I've done it or a similar saw. Okay, so today's video, we're going to take this off of here and take our timing wheel off. Let's go in and do some work to this piston. Okay, usually the way I start is I do piston work, and then I'll do the transfers, and then I finish with the intake and the exhaust. Now, again, if you are curious what the difference is, the intake and the exhaust, okay, the exhaust is affected. You guys can see, there's the difference. The intake skirt is exactly the same length as whatever this piston is. Okay, so that's kind of why I went with what I went with. I figured it's close enough, and it's just to show you guys what you can do. I like to show what you can do. I mean, not everybody. 394 and 395 pistons are a lot more common than 2100 pistons. So I figured, let's get this ring off here. Whoa! Just break it off because we're not going to reuse it. Okay, let's look at the difference between these two pistons and see why maybe we would go the way we're going. Okay, here's my scale. Again, this is just it's an inaccurate chef scale. Okay, here's the piston that was in there. This piston, somebody emailed me and said a 2101 piston's like 110 grams. Okay, here's what we have in there, 100 grams. Okay, so this piston is actually, even though it's shorter, it's actually heavier. Okay, so we got some work to do on it for sure. Again, I don't know what this piston is, but this piston has a very thin crown. You can see there's a lot of work done to it. Okay, so let's do some work to this piston today and see how much weight savings we can get in it. Okay, I got my Fordham tool here all set up. I'm standing up, and I'm going to use my pedal on the ground today. Normally you guys see me sitting down, but we're going to do this one setting up today. I'm just going to move you guys over here. There you go. That should be good. Okay, so I'm going to go in and really work these windows. You can see the one that was in here is just beautiful. Giant windows. A lot of your weight savings is on the bottom here. See how thin these are? I may go in, and in fact, I think I will. I'm going to go in and cut these down a little bit and see what kind of size we can get out of this. Put my reading glasses on. Just going to clean them off. Okay, let's get rocking and rolling here. As I always say, let the tool do the cutting, don't push. Okay, just taking little tiny wee bits off of here. If you have a bottom end open or anything, get rid of that, move it. Put it somewhere where you can't get any of the stuff in there. Okay, I'm just opening it up at the top. I may actually go to a smaller bit. Put some lubricant on here. Okay, do you guys see what's going on there? I'm cutting in just a little bit into here. Okay, I'm going to do one port, and then I'll show you guys, we can compare it. Okay, and I always try and blend them so that this edge here doesn't, you know what I mean? I flow it so that the air can come through here easily. That's always the idea. Sometimes you can't get in, but this is a big piston, so. You don't want any hard, sharp edges. Okay, I'm going to pause you guys here, and I'm just going to keep working this one port. You guys can see. Okay, I'm just opening it up carefully. Okay, we'll get you guys in here. There's what I've done to the piston. Now, that's only one window. Okay, window's quite a bit bigger. It's not what was in there, but it is bigger. It's a little bit wider than this, not quite as deep. I did cut into this bottom strap a bit. If you're new at this, don't do that. Work with what you got. Okay, I widened it out as far as it could go here. Now, the main thing is I've blended. Let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. I've blended all the way in. If you look at the stock side, there's all these little imperfections and gaps and 90-degree angles. I've gotten rid of that so that the air can go right in here and flow, okay? Same thing with the bottom here. I've cut that ugly corner off there, okay? So although it doesn't look like much, it will flow. Okay, now I'll go in and do the other 4 windows, and then we'll smooth and blend the rest of the piston. Okay, here's our piston windows. Roughed in. I will chamfer these corners. I cut these things right pretty much as far as I can. Right to the edge, both sides. Okay, I got a little bit more work to do here, I see. Okay, I dinged it here a little bit. Oops, that'll be fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But there it is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to get rid of all these sharp breaks. Okay, I'm going to blend everything, get rid of these casting marks, get rid of these sharp edges here. Cut every corner, okay? Every corner on this piston that's sharp is going to go bye-bye. Okay? And again, I scratched it a little bit there. No big deal. I could use a new piston, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just keep working on this one because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Okay, I'll go in and get rid of all this stuff. I'm going to blend the bottom here. And not take too much material off, but flow this thing and make it a little bit lighter. Okay, I'm going to go in and do that, and then I'll show you guys more or less the finished project. Okay, guys, here's our finished piston, windows. Okay, we've ground and smoothed the inside. I may hit this little corner again. There's kind of a little bit of a break in the action there, but this gives you guys an idea. All I did was use my calipers to make sure that each of these was ground the same. And then just my eye to make sure the windows are about the same. Okay, and again, we're trying to make it look like this piston. Okay, these windows are a little bit wider, but they're a little bit shorter. So these are still a little bit bigger, but we're making do with what we got. Now, one of the reasons why I didn't want a 2101 piston is a 2101 piston, the holes are about this big in it, okay? Big straps here. You'd have to do a lot of grinding to make it work. I like a light piston in my builds because reciprocating mass, if you get rid of weight in the internals of a saw, especially a two-stroke, you end up with just something that wants to go fast, okay? So we ended up at 108. So we shaved, it was 115, 116 grams. So we took 8 grams off this piston. Okay. This one is 100 grams. So we are 8 grams heavier. But wait a minute. Okay. Let's say that this ring is 4 to 5 grams. Okay. So we'll say with 2 rings, this piston is going to be, okay, it's going to be 110 grams. This piston will be 112 because we're only going to go 1 ring. Okay, so we're right in the ballpark of where we need to be. And the other thing I can do is, this is the wrist pin that was in there, 25 grams. Okay, 25 grams. Here is the Meteor, 25 grams. So there's really 26 grams. So there's really no savings to be had there, but you can drill these. Usually they're very hard, but you can lighten these if you want. I've seen guys taper them to get rid of some weight, but that's what we're dealing with. So all in all, I have a piston that is lighter. It'll flow better. And it should just be better all the way around. Hopefully we didn't take too much off of these, but I can kind of do this by eye. Okay, and one thing to think about if you're going to do a piston swap is where your locating pins are. Okay, run the saw to bottom to the center. Make sure you're not going to catch a ring in the intake port. In this case, I was good to go. So, well, that gets us a little bit closer to where we need to be. Most of the work on my saws is the transfers and the piston. Next video, we'll do the lower and upper transfers and get those flowing air, and then we'll play with the timing wheel. We'll put it back on the saw. I think I'm going to shoot for, depending on where my upper transfers lay, I think I'm going to shoot for probably 100, 120... 123, 124 on the transfers, so 23, 24 degrees of blowdown, and about 154 on my intake. So we're at 104, 125, and let's see, total opening on the intake is 152, so it's 76. We're going to go like 100, 100, 124, 123, depending on how high I have to raise them. And the intake, I'm going to set at about 154. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy. I'll see you in a couple days. Later.